think Sarah Talent was the first.
Call to order the Board of Education Committee of the Whole meeting on Monday, January 26, 2026. The Board of Education makes available at least one current copy of the Open Meetings Act, which is posted on the west wall of the meeting room and accessible to members of the public. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the agenda as presented.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? First, we're going to move right to financial literacy. Or no, yeah, or no, we doing
Yes.
strategic, no, we're doing
No, Mr.
That's
Ford
next
is
time.
ill, so we are going to table item number 1 and
perfect.
push that to February.
It
So-
just wouldn't be the same.
No, it really would not. If we gave it, it
Yeah.
would not.
Wouldn't be the same. if we
Yes.
did.
Mr. Ford and everybody else at the high school still sick?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. it would.
Yeah. There were 100 students, 110 gone today.
Well, that's
So
better.
that's better than what it was on Thursday.
We had it over the weekend.
Yeah.
So we're going to, then Dr. Nielsen's going to give us a financial literacy update.
Perfect. As we look at financial literacy education, one of the things required by state statute is to give an update. Plus, we want to just talk to you about the great things happening in our classrooms and in our buildings. You have a document that goes through a lot of different examples of what is happening with personal finance and with financial literacy. So there is a section for elementary, middle school, and on the back, we have high school. I'm just going to hit the bullet points with these pieces. But our goal is to increase exposure and understanding through content integration and classroom discussion. We want to ensure that this is hands-on. We want to make sure that our kids understand the aspects of financial literacy and understand how it affects them. And how they use it on an everyday basis. And so that is our thinking as we move through this. In fourth grade, our students earn behavior bucks. And one of the things that they quickly learn is the word responsibility with money. And understanding that when you go out and spend it all in one setting, then you have none. And so they learn to manage it, they learn to save it, they learn to figure out exactly what they are aiming to buy with their behavior bucks, whether it is lunch in the classroom, whether it is some other gadget or trinket, they kind of figure out and manage their finances. So that is kind of a fun way that our fourth grade team has added an aspect of financial literacy, especially at that young age. At the middle school, our social studies classroom, they focus on the national debt, using the debt clock and breaking down some of the key categories on it, which may be a little scarier for our middle school students, looking at that and understanding that, but that is one thing they do. Our career tech ed students in FCS, they start shopping for groceries. And so they have to cook, they have to meal prep, and they do the shopping for everything that they are preparing. And then during the counseling sessions on bonus days, they do reality check, which allows them to start understanding that here's my lifestyle, and so here's what I'm going to have in my pocket to ensure that I have the lifestyle I want. So the reality check, and there's many tools online that we utilize that really do a great job of helping our students navigate those pieces and understand what they need in order to manage their life as they move outside of our doors. At the high school, we know that our students are required to take financial literacy to meet graduation requirements. Most of our students typically take it during their junior year, which is a great time for them to take it because most of our students at that point in time have had jobs. So they do have a paycheck that they're able to start comparing to what they're discussing in that financial literacy. Projects, topics covered throughout the semester. They have career exploration and career prep. They do crediting, they talk about credit, they talk about budgeting, they talk about taxes, and then they also talk about investments. So there's a lot of different things that they cover within this one semester. It's pretty intense. But as you know, this is a great part of our curriculum, but again, we can't do it all. And so that's where we ask the parents to continue to get involved and be a part of the process. The other part that we are reporting on is the successful completion of financial literacy. And as you look at this, we do still have some gaps. And we've got to figure that out because it is a graduation requirement. So if students are not passing this course, then they have to look at alternatives. One of those alternatives would be retaking it their senior year. Another alternative would be taking it in Edgenuity during the summer year, or during the summer. So, there are, and that's the hard thing with taking it your junior year. It could be junior year, your spring semester, and you maybe do not pass, then we have to figure out right away, get you into summer school so that you're back on track, so we can get you caught up. So, that is financial literacy. Any questions?
So my granddaughter is taking that right now. Should I have her do my taxes this?
I would wait, let her finish the course and then, let her finish the course first.
Depends on
Yes.
how much of a risk taker you
Yeah,
are.
exactly, yes. Now maybe she can go through the process with you.
Do you know, I think there is a perception in the community that we don't teach that, and I don't know how you get that across to people, because when I have somebody make that comment, I say, oh, we've been doing that for a long time, and they don't think that we have been, so I don't know how you make that more available to the public to know that we are actually doing that.
Yes, because there is a lot that we teach kids. And that's, however, we cannot teach a child how to manage their money. I mean, we try to implement things that help, but ultimately I cannot teach a child how to manage those pieces.
Do you talk to the radio station when you do a program, maybe do a program on the
Absolutely.
radio and just talk about this? Because then at least you've made that effort to get it out to the public.
That is
Yes.
a great idea for ATM.
It is, and I also know of someone else that can help us share the word too. So, you know, we could do a whole story to where, and I don't know, maybe it's a certain month when we decide to focus on this that would make more sense. But you're right, it would be great to get the word out because there are individuals that don't think that we help kids understand how to balance a checkbook, but we do.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Perfect.
I'm aware of kids that don't know what a check is.
Yes, and the sad thing is I don't know if in 5 or 10 years, checks will even exist.
Yeah.
I'm just, yeah, I mean, that's a scary thing too. We have these apps that it just disappears, your money just goes from one place to another, and I'm like, no. Yeah, so yes, that is, it's interesting. Very much so. Perfect. Okay, anything else? Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
And then on to the exciting topic of school calendar.
Absolutely. So, in front of you, you have a draft proposed school calendar. My goal is to bring this to the board in February at the board meeting for approval. The calendar looks similar to last year. There are a few adjustments that we have made, but one of the things we received staff input about the first calendar that we sent out. And then we took their input, and we were able to adjust some things we were not able to adjust. As you look at the calendar, we know that the calendar is not going to meet everyone's needs or everyone's expectations. So we do our best to ensure that, we do ensure that staff, there are 186 staff days, there are 172 student instructional days. So those are our two parameters that we are working around, is we have to make sure that we have that. As you look at it, August looks very similar to what August looked like this year and what August has looked like for years. There are individuals that keep saying to me, well, we're starting school earlier. Well, we started school, I think, on the 11th last year. So, you know, that's the thing is, it just depends upon where it falls and where our winter break falls, because we try to keep our semesters equal. So you can see first semester has 85.5 days, second semester has 86.5 days. So we try to keep them pretty equal, so winter break is where we start and then we move up from there. Last year we did have 5 staff days at the very beginning of the year. We also had a major K-5 reading adoption, and so we needed to make sure that we had time for our teachers to go through that. There was one full day that we spent just on the reading adoption with K2, and then the next day we spent it on the reading adoption with 3-5. So we needed more time. This year, we don't need 5 days. I also did receive feedback from some teachers saying 5 was way too many. And so middle school, high school teachers looked at us last year because they didn't have the CKLA adoption. They're like, this was way too much, please don't do that again. So that is one of the things that we heard feedback from them saying, cut that out. Early release days, value, impact, and alternatives. One of the things, as we looked at the early release days, the instructional, logistical, and planning impact of frequent early release days, particularly at the elementary level. Because the elementary teachers have that 1 hour plan. They're like, okay, the early release days, yes, they're nice, but we don't necessarily need them. Well, middle school and high school teachers do not have that 1 hour a day plan. And if they did, in order for us to do it at middle school, high school, we'd have to probably hire at least 5 more teachers at each building. Just to make sure we have enough staff, and then you have enough sections that you could find the common plans. When the middle school had their teaming, we were able to do it because we had 6 teachers per core area. So that makes a difference. When you have more staff, you have more flexibility. But one of the other things that we have considered is, well, do we keep our elementary here full day? Well, what that would do is that would require us to pay extra in busing. So on those Wednesdays, we would now be paying for another bus route. Transportation cost is already increasing exponentially. So for us, that is not a fiscally smart decision as we looked at the budget and looked at that scheduling piece. What we did try to do though is we tried to adjust things because we know December 18th, that is the last day of first semester. We have listened to staff. And I know that Mr. Alexander talked about his experience at the elementary when he was an elementary teacher and about how excited the kids were to be in school the full day on that day. Most of them are not. And so what we did was we moved it from December 9th to December 18th. And then in January, we had one on January 13th. We removed that one because we had the 4th and or January 13th. Yeah, we removed that one because we had the 4th and the 18th for professional learning. So we decided, you know what, we have already 2 days, let's remove that one. One of the things that was brought up by an elementary teacher was that consistency of trying to keep it a week consistent, because we know that kiddos that have autism do not like change. We know, and so we want to make sure that we try to keep their schedules as consistent as possible. So going along with that is that professional development timing and purpose, making sure that we had intentional placement and design of PD days to maximize relevance. Last year we did have a professional development day the day after Labor Day. Again, for that CKLA adoption, just to provide time for our elementary staff to really make sure that they felt like they understood where they were going. Even though we know some of our elementary teachers are still unsure about the CKLA adoption, but they're doing a great job. But we looked at that and said, okay, we do not need that day anymore. And so we have strategically placed professional development days to where we need them as we look at the calendar.
Give me an example of what we might do on a all-day professional development.
So
I mean, I read that thing that said every building had something different, but
90
is it
minutes of it usually is work time. So we embed 90 minutes of it, but then what you will see during a PD day would be our teachers would come together to do PLC work. So they would come together to look at and make sure that we are on board with assessments, that we're on board with curriculum, we're teaching similar things, we're talking about how to grade. We would also do school improvement. So with our school improvement goals, we will focus exactly on what we're targeting. So if we're targeting graduation rate and improving that, we may embed grading practices. And how are we grading? Is it common? What are we grading? Are we grading what we should be grading? Also, I know at the middle school, they have MTSS teams that meet, actually, this is all over, our MTSS teams meet. So MTSS behavior has met.
Can you say what those things stand for
Yep.
when you give those things?
MTSS is multi-tiered systems of support. So it is a team that really looks at, when we're looking at behavior, when we're looking at math, when we're looking at reading, what supports do I need to put in for all kids at tier 1? What supports do I need to put in at the next level at tier 2, where these students are showing that they are missing the gaps on some of our priority standards. And then tier 3, we may be 2 to 3 grade levels below. What supports am I putting in? So if I'm looking at behavior, we'll start talking about what supports are we putting in for all kids. So what is our behavior curriculum? Well, we need time to make sure we're all on the same page, all staff members are on the same page, we're teaching the same thing, we use the same language. Then what supports are we putting in for those kiddos that, for behavior, it might be, I have missed 5 to 10 days because attendance is also part of behavior. Tardiness is a part of behavior. It also could be, I'm very disrespectful. And I maybe have 2 incidents during this 1 week that pop up. Well, now I would move to probably a tier 2 level because that's showing a little bit of behavior that I don't want to see. And then tier 3 would be your frequent flyers. So what supports are we putting in that we need to make sure all staff? So there are a lot of different things that we are doing on those professional development days. I will tell you, no time is wasted just sitting there and looking at each other. That's one of the things that we want to make sure of, is that the PD days are purposeful.
Do all teachers do this, or just the people in core areas?
All
So
teachers
give me
are.
an example, like at the high school level, what a PE teacher would do when it comes to reading.
What a PE teacher would do when it comes to reading, we would probably talk about how do you use reading in your classroom. So, for example, I'm going to say, yes, it's going to be difficult because we do want our PE teachers making sure the kids are active. But they're also part of the solution to help us teach reading in meaningful ways. So maybe it is, what articles are we teaching? If we are lifting weights, Coach Johnson can have the students read articles about what muscles they're using, why are they using, so when we are doing a deadlift, exactly what's happening within my body, and it may be a paragraph. It doesn't, I mean, I'm not expecting PE teachers, but it's how do I help kids navigate that paragraph so that they truly understand exactly what this lift is doing. So it really is using reading to help the students go deeper within the curriculum. Does that help answer questions?
Kind of.
Kind of.
I don't know.
It is hard, and I will tell you, one of the other things the state has put in place that we are trying to navigate is all teachers that touch K-3 students have to take the Science of Reading course. So that means your PE teachers, because they teach students, K-3 students. Your art teacher, your counselors, because they teach K-3 students. Your music teachers, I think those are our 4 specials. So the thing is we have to figure out, one of the things we've talked about the state is, okay, the Science of Reading course that our K-3 classroom teachers are taking has taken hours upon hours upon hours. We should not have the same professional development for a PE teacher that we have for a classroom teacher. So that's one of the things that we are navigating as well. All of the Science of Reading training that we're doing with our teachers all happens on these professional development days. And so there's a lot that takes place on these in these professional development days, and if you would like to, in February we have one, and we'd love to have you come around and just see what happens, because you're right, this question probably is out there with our public, is what happens on these dates. And it's good for you to know and have that information so that you can share it. It's good for us to continue to share what is going on.
Well, and you guys are gonna have IPG data next year. That
Yes.
will.
Instructional
drive some
practice guide.
Which stands for,
Instructional practice guide.
Yes.
And it's
Which
gonna
means
drive, that they go in and you can score the instruction in the classroom, not the instructor.
who's scoring it?
the
principals.
administrators. So, but there's
administrators.
some powerful data that comes from that you can then do a prescribed PD based on that data. And I
And
know the math,
currently,
don't ask me about the reading side.
Our middle school and high school teachers are going in with TNTP, the new teacher project. They have because of the science of reading, the CLSD, the Comprehensive Literacy Grant that we have. We are bringing in TNTP to go in, and we're doing walkthroughs with middle school and high school teachers so that we can make sure that we validate our scores and that they are similar, and that Andrew isn't scoring someone a 4 where I scored the teacher a 1 or the classroom instruction a 1. And so it really is about reading practices, because again, if we want 75% of our third graders reading on grade level, we've got to make sure that that reading instruction is where it needs to be, and that our kids are in the text, really navigating the text. And so, yes, there is a lot happening with professional development lately. I'm just going to say it's been very busy, especially with all the literacy pieces that we've added and continue to add, and the expectations that the state has for districts.
So a couple things I've got, Jackie, is
Yep.
how do you potentially not have a PD day the Monday after school gets out?
Okay, so that is one concern that has been brought up.
Probably a-
I have an idea to throw out, if I can interject that here.
Can I throw out the bad ideas first?
Yeah.
Okay, so, not necessarily bad ideas, but the ideas that are not very favorable by staff. One idea would be to take November 25th, that Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and put it there. Okay, I'm just throwing out all of the options. One idea would be to have teachers come back on the 21st of December. So they start, yes, okay.
They'll be bringing their packages with the wrapping.
Yes, they will. Those are really the two possibilities. The other possibility would be to have it be August 5th and have 5 days at the very beginning of the year.
Okay, here's an
Doesn't that
out-of-the-box
make first and
idea.
second semester all waffle jumbled?
No,
No, because this is just a staff day,
Oh, I see.
so,
That's
yeah.
Okay.
An idea, and one idea that came to me this weekend, because I did have some people reach out about the 17th, is to make a flex day. This is out of the box, everyone. Okay, out of the box idea. Make a flex PD day where they can choose to either serve that day on August 5th or May 17th. And there would be some parameters, some committees may need to meet on a certain time, so you don't have a flexibility, but from the majority of the staff, they would have flexibility to choose one of the two, and they need to designate it, so it's not a paperwork nightmare. When they check out, they could designate which one they plan to do. If something changes, they can communicate with their building administrator, but there would be X, Y, and Z that has to be done on those days, but they would have the flexibility to choose either one. We've got some districts in ESU 4 that do this, and I know Lincoln Public Schools used to do it. I don't know if they do now, because I haven't looked at their calendar. So it would but it wouldn't be like flex, serve this when you want. It would be either August 5th or May 17th, because there are people who have an argument for each one.
Mhm.
But we also know we can't make everybody happy, and you've done a great job of listening and getting all the things.
I would not mess with that Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We have talked about that so many times. I wouldn't mess with that one at all.
Yes.
I think the other thing that I hear from elementary and middle school teachers is the disparity of the high school on finals week. Having complete time to get all their grades done, and we're teaching all the way through.
That is being discussed as well, but that is one of the reasons why we added the 18th in, why we
Half day.
moved that PLC date to there. But one of the things I will tell you that in conversation with the high school, we have looked and thought about that schedule. But, and it's one of those things that at every level, there's benefits and there may be drawbacks. I mean, that's the thing is, if you're
I
at
just hear
the,
about it every year. The high school teachers have
absolutely.
3
Yep.
classes and they're done, and they can get all their
Oh,
grades
wait.
in. And
No, and they have 150 finals to grade? Oh, okay. There is that side of it too.
I think the
Yes.
final schedule at the high school needs to be examined, because if it truly is a final schedule, I mean, I graded, when I had 100 journalism 1 kids, I graded papers that were multiple pages in length. It wasn't like I could just, I couldn't
But
feed
most
them into a
teachers
machine.
don't even give a final. I think last semester.
Well, we
Claire
need
maybe
to, I
had
think it just
one.
needs to be examined
Mhm.
before we,
Maybe
Yeah,
one
maybe
final.
that's the problem, not.
yeah, I think it, yeah.
When
Yeah,
Eric
there
and I
is-
go to our committee meetings, visiting the schools, they don't complain about it.
You probably are not there on May 15th. Yeah, they would be, or
Yeah.
even December 15th. Yeah, no, that
Oh,
is,
I hear about Chuck every year when it's finals, especially in December.
Well, what would be the goal on May 17th? What would be your goal if everybody was in the building?
so if everyone was in the building, this would be our school improvement teams and if you look at our
Nobody will
buildings,
care
the
at that
use
point.
of data has become just common practice.
And then they forget about it for the entire summer.
But Eric, I think we're dealing with professionals.
No,
I
I
think
know
we're
that.
selling them short
Yeah.
by saying, I mean, I get it, but I also think these are
Our-
professionals.
Currently, the last couple of years, our building leadership teams will meet like May 18th, 19th, and 20th. So they meet for a full day
By their request.
by probably their and Jackie's request. I mean,
Well,
yes, sorry.
Yeah.
It's also, yeah, I mean,
you give them the option though, of doing it then or doing it at another time in the summer, and they
Yes.
always choose to do it then.
we
because
choose
they
to do it
want-
right away.
Yeah, they want.
So they will create, those school improvement plans are created at the end of May. You have the data, it's fresh in your, I mean, so we've seen preliminary NSCAS data, we've seen preliminary ECT data, we've got our attendance rate, we've got our MAP data, we've got our DIBELS data. We've got data at that point in time, so our building leadership teams come together and they create those school improvement plans for the next year. Just so that if they need to start working on what does professional development look like for the following year, they're gonna get that done during the summer. And so that gives our principals direction as to what else do they need to focus on. So that usually is, I'm pulling, it's probably about 5 to 10 teachers per building on those dates. So my goal would be on the 17th, because they've gone through this process quite a few years, they could get this done right away the 17th in the morning in their buildings. They do not need me sitting by their side, because they know exactly what my expectations are, what the expectations of the district are, and they can then move that forward. So building leadership teams, I think in that morning meeting, that morning time, can get that accomplished. I also think, as Jason and I have talked, one of the things that we do not do is we don't do a staff recognition for retirees anymore. Because when we had every Wednesday, we were able to do that. At this point in time, we can't. When you look at the April 28th, our teachers are doing move-up meetings to where our preschool teachers are meeting with our kindergarten teachers, our 5th grade with 6th grade, and so, I mean, they are moving, they're working, they're doing those transition meetings, and that would also happen on the 19th. So just recognizing the staff that are retiring and sending them off, or the staff that are leaving and sending them off. Also even just having a closing staff meeting. One of the things that principals have said is that last day of school, there's no time to talk to staff. They have staff on their doorstep at 12:30 after kids have left saying, okay, I'm ready to check out. So they aren't just signing papers, and there's no time for them to say thank you. So I think there are some things that we would do, but a lot of that time would be spent cleaning up your classroom, thinking about, what you need to make sure you're ready for over the summer or come August 1st, if you want to wait until then too, which there are some teachers that do. Yes?
This is a different topic, but I thought that we were gonna make some changes to parent-teacher conferences. I thought there was some discussion about that.
Yep.
So I'm thinking that day there, if we, I don't know what that change would be, but
We have talked parent-teacher conferences, and we've talked about it at all levels. one of the things that our middle school and high school have done is change the structure of their conferences, and I'll let Andrew talk about that. But one of the suggestions that keeps getting brought up is moving it to one day. I'm not opposed. However, we have preschool we have to think about. Our preschool right now has 2 extra days in their minutes, AM and PM 3-year-old preschool. 2 extra days, that's it. If we would take the 24th and have no school on the 24th of September, and if we would take February 18th and have no school because we'd run parent-teacher conferences from 8 to 8 so that we can reach more parents, not a bad idea, but that would be no preschool, and then we would end up with 0 extra days for preschool. So that means if we had a snow day, our preschoolers would have to figure out when to come back, our 3-year-olds. So the 3-year-olds would either be back on a professional development day, they'd be back on a Wednesday, and then we'd have to have busing for them. That was the hardest part about parent-teacher conferences when we looked at it, was our 3-year-olds.
Can they go to school even though we're, because they don't have conferences that day?
No, they could probably, on the 18th, they would have school though. Or they would have parent-teacher conferences, because on the 18th, on the 15th, 16th, and 18th, they have the same conferences we have. They just flow with the elementary.
Oh, on February.
Yeah, sorry, February.
September.
So that, they would lose that day. Because the other thing that by moving that, that PLC date on the 18th of December, I looked at Missy and said, can you afford that? And she said, yep, but we no longer have 3 days, we now have 2. And so they normally would get out on the 18th, but they would go the full day. But because we made that switch, we've now moved them down to 2 instructional days. And that is, I will tell you, that's the hardest part. When we make decisions about even late starts, because this morning, there was no AM preschool. So they now have missed, they missed Friday, that AM preschool, and then they missed today. So they are now down.
Why is it different for them?
Because AM and PM preschool are only roughly about 3 hours. The full day preschool gets you enough hours.
Oh.
So it's that 3 hours. When I have 7 hours to work with, it makes it much easier. And so that's the hardest part with the schedule, and our teachers had even brought up, hey, we would love conferences because then we can get more, but it is just hard.
Well, it seems odd that 3-year-olds are driving the bus for,
Yeah.
I mean, they have
Yes.
a lot of years to.
Yeah, I know. It is, it all falls around state statute and the rules that we have to make sure that we abide by.
Well, unless attitudes have changed considerably, I can't even imagine the thrill of going to school on May 17th, but you're gonna have a last day no matter when it falls, but I just can't even.
I
I
think,
mean, are they gonna get there at 8:05 and be checked out? Are you gonna allow them to check out, or do they have to attend that day?
They have to attend.
You know what I mean, there
Right,
used to
no,
be sign-in sheet, you
right.
know.
I
I
don't,
don't know.
I think the hard part is that it's a Monday.
Mhm.
I think that's.
yeah, if it was a Friday.
I think
Yes.
that's totally different.
Yeah.
I truly think, and I know that there's not one best thing, but maybe there's another option.
Or you could go back and say, do you wanna come back on May 17th, or would you rather be there on Monday, the 21st of December? You know, give them the option of those
Well,
two.
Or
Yeah.
we could go back to the 5th of August.
Right.
Yep.
Too, which makes more sense than the 21st.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is we can put out a survey
Yeah,
with staff saying, here's the 3 options that we have.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's what I would do.
The majority will help us determine what we want to do, and then we'll just go from there.
that's it.
Yeah,
So
so,
one of
and
them be a flex, let them pick, or no?
Or you start school on the 11th. I mean, it's either Tuesday or Wednesday. I mean, at that point, I know it sounds early, but
we need
I don't
the
think
staff
they
day.
try
We don't
a
need the
flex
student
day,
day, I need the
like a
staff day.
foreign day.
So it would have to be a staff day.
Would be
So
a-
it's either the 5th, so it has to be a green day that I add. That's the thing, is it has to be a staff day. I don't need, I have enough student days. So it's that Green Day, it has to either move to the 5th.
I mean, it might be as easy just sending a survey out. You either wanna be here on the 5th or the 17th.
Or
Fifth
we
of
want-
May or the
or
17th of March.
21st,
Yeah.
December 21st,
Yeah,
and we can
or-
add that in there
and-
too.
Whatever the majority is, go with.
And quite honestly, if I were a staff member, I'd take the 21st.
Yeah.
I mean, it just was.
Or, I mean, even if you're putting a survey out, you can even throw in November 25th.
Yeah, you could throw in November 25th.
You know, if we're just looking at a staff day,
Mm-hmm,
have 1, 2, 3, 4 options.
mm-hmm,
See what people pick.
yeah.
Is this professional development that has to
Yeah.
be in person, or can we give them the option of what she suggested?
The
Well,
flex
I
day
think-
would still be in person. The flex day would just be you.
Well,
What it would be is probably by May 1st of this year, we would say, okay, here's the calendar. So I would probably do a different shade of green, just to note that it's something different. I know, I'm sorry.
Good idea, Jessica.
Okay.
Or you just go with the majority.
Or we just go with the majority. I mean, if we did the flex day, what you would do is you would say, by May 1st, you need to pick whether you're coming
Yeah.
August 5th, or whether you're going to stay on May 17th.
Because for some people, getting ready at the beginning of the year, they do a lot of stuff.
Yep.
For me, I would have never done that because I had to finish a yearbook, so.
And you would have
I was
said
gonna
May
be here,
17th.
so I
Yeah.
thought I had the
But,
option.
On the other hand,
You're
like
above.
Andrews, that caused a pain for you to track who's here on the 5th or who's here on the
If
17th.
I
LPS
don't
can
think
do
it'd be
it.
too difficult.
No.
You really couldn't have any like major standard meetings, you know, it'd be more
Mm-mm.
work days, right?
Well, the schools that I've seen do it, they either have a work day, or I've seen one that they have kind of a, like a, I don't want to say generic PD, but like questioning and student discourse, where it's just a good refresher, or Kagan's instructional strategies, just something that is a good refresher for teachers, and they present that for 2 hours, whoever does, building admin, or they bring in ESU people, they present that for 2 hours on both days, so they're hearing the same thing, and then it's
And
usually
they're
work
worked
time the rest of the time. So it's not something that like has to be done one or the other, but it's just a good practice to refresh on.
Yeah, maybe
When you
just
don't
survey.
do- When
Yeah.
you don't do the 17th of May, you miss out on finishing
Mhm.
and getting ready for the
Yeah.
next year. I mean,
But you
to me,
have,
there's something to be said for that too.
the 14th is a half day with students, the
Mhm.
other half is that,
Yeah.
what we have done every other year to finish out.
So the teachers do a lot of that work
Yeah.
on that
Mhm.
half day.
Yeah, because teachers are there all day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's still that half day, so they really have a day and a half at the end of the school year.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. Survey either August 5th, November 25th,
December 21st.
December 21st, May 17th, or flex August 5th, May 17th. Right?
I can add that to it.
And I would maybe add in that if you have a meeting on the 17th, like your school improvement team, their day is the 17th.
Mhm.
Or at least, if they choose the 5th, they're coming in on the 17th for that meeting. So some people, the lucky ones that are on the committees may not have a choice.
Yeah.
But they don't have a choice now. They're coming in.
They don't,
anyway.
they come back
would
either
probably, yes.
way, right.
Mhm. And they just wouldn't come back for that full day. They,
Yeah.
But to be honest, if it was me, I would choose the 5th, because I don't do anything to really get ready until the beginning of the school year. And I was probably on the school improvement team, I would come for that meeting, and then
And then
I'd leave, like I'd be done by 10 o'clock.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So that would be
Your preference.
right. But we also know that whatever happens, it's one day of everyone's life,
Yep.
and it will be fine. Except if it's December 21st, or November 25th.
I know.
I'm just saying.
I had a prep.
Majority vote.
Yeah, and that's what we will do is majority, because
Because
You
the
can't
kind of
have
nice
any
thing about
choices.
this is that we're not talking about student days here. We're just looking at
a staff day.
a staff day.
Yes.
So then let them pick.
I don't think anyone will vote for November 25th or December 21st.
I
I'd
don't even
still
know
throw
if
it
you
out
pose
there.
it.
Yeah,
Derek says, throw it out.
throw it out there.
I mean, just, well,
And I'm gonna put my money on November 25th, it's not gonna get one vote.
I, we'll see.
My
Okay?
guess is-
Exactly.
If I had to guess, I'm gonna guess August 5th. Will be the day.
I'm gonna guess it's a flex, just because it's new and shiny.
I say we move on.
Okay, perfect.
Vote yes on that.
Wait, I want to talk one more time, no, just kidding.
Oh, yes, this next one is very timely with the temperature outside. Air conditioning update. Just open the windows.
So just to bring you all up to speed, we were kind of working with the company last fall on the idea of drawing up specs for the air conditioning in the gym. They decided that it wasn't a big enough project for them, so that kind of went to the wayside. Called ETI, which is a company out of Lincoln, asked if they'd be interested in drawing up the specs. They came down Monday, looked at it, looked at the gym, walked through it with myself, Rhonda, and Mark McAllister, and they are interested in drawing it up, well-known company. The cost, they sent me the contract today, the cost is $18,500 to draw the specs. Remember that we have to do this for the state statute requirement of anything that's costs $136,000 or more. We are required to have an engineer stamp on it. So we're gonna have to take that step in order to do this. So it's $18,500 to draw it and design it, and then there are also charges for reimbursable expense charges. And there's a list of what that is. So I can send this out to you, but I just wanted you to know that's where we're at with it. I think turnaround time on this, I think we might still be able to get in for the summer. It might push a little bit into the school year. They might have to finish up in August and maybe the 1st of September, so it may not be completely done in the time frame that we'd like it to be done, because it's where it's at, but some of that's gonna depend on if they can get the units or not as well. So at what I see right now, at an estimated cost, you're looking at probably somewhere around $250,000 to $260,000 for the cost of the units, the equipment, and then you're probably looking at about another $20,000 to $25,000 for the drawings and everything to be done. So at the end of the day, you're probably looking at about $300,000 to get it done.
Which at this point, obviously the middle school's not going anywhere.
Well, that's up to you.
Loaded.
Yeah.
I don't think that's on the agenda.
That's up to you.
Is that all your report?
Is there any portion of that that could fall under maybe grants for ADA, so it would be more accessible to students who have special needs? Where they need to have
Like
a
the
s-
climate
a certain
control.
climate control?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Mhm.
I don't know how much of it, I know some of it we could use, QC Puff for. I need to look into the specifics of that. Because we still have bonds that we're paying off. We will be through 2030, the Series B bonds and the QC Puff that we'll be paying off. But the Series A, we did that and finished those in December. So, how many cents we can manipulate in that, I don't know for sure, off the top of my head. So, right now, that's where this is. Really, you have, in February, I think what I need to do is talk to ETI and see if we can put an estimate on what the reimbursable expenses are gonna be. Cause that, no lid on the reimbursable expenses kind of concerns me. I'd like to have some sort of like limitation there that says not to exceed a certain amount. So I'd like to have our attorney maybe look at this contract a little bit. I just got it today.
Are there any uses that could be made of that part of the building if it was air conditioned that aren't currently using it?
What do you mean by?
I mean, like in the summer, would it be available to outside groups,
I
or
think
would it?
summer,
It's
It's
used.
It's used, but would it be,
Awesome.
adults are probably not going to want to use it without air conditioning, I would guess. I
Yeah.
don't know.
It's usually reserved from 8 AM till probably 3 PM
Oh.
every day.
Yeah.
in the summer.
Okay,
And the kids are just sweating through it.
Yep.
So,
okay. But that's where that might come in. I mean, there might be
Yeah.
some students that choose not to do it because they have a disability of some kind that don't let them use it.
Yeah.
It's worth looking
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like Eric mentioned, middle school's not going anywhere, but even in a perfect world where we get the middle school, I believe that still will be a valuable asset to our community, having
Yes.
that there, and then so kids can still have a place to go in the summertime and not die of heat.
Well, that's a great point, and I think to your question, at some point, this board or a board of education is going to have to look at, you know, the middle school, and is it time to try and pass a bond issue and move it out there? When that is, who knows? But even when that is, doesn't mean at that point, part of the bond issue couldn't be to refurbish that gymnasium and keep it. So, because there isn't enough gym space in this community as it is for all the activities that take place. So that gym could remain, it's gonna need a new floor. You know, bleachers could be replaced, some work could be done on it, but that could all be part of that bond issue as well.
With
So-
backs on the bleachers.
That's right, that's
and
right.
realize.
I went to,
Rails, I know.
railings are screwed in, I keep going to these ones where they.
So the engineers are saying 18 grand
To
just to
draw.
put their stamp on it?
Yeah. And when I talk to them, when we walk through it, there's a lot more that goes into it than what a person thinks. You know, cause I think, well, just put a sock across
Yeah.
the gym and, you know, an air conditioning sock and put the things outside and hook them up, you're good to go, right? Well, there's a lot more to it than that, so.
See, and I'm thinking, how do you make it energy efficient so you don't have half the cold air going out the doors?
You see why I am not an engineer.
Yeah.
You just found out why that's the case.
We didn't know why.
Yeah. So, yeah, and when he was explaining it to me, I was like, oh, yeah, well, I see, yeah, you're right. So I learned a lot in an hour and a half of,
Because there's no access to the roof, period, right? And they have to go through, and it structurally has to be sound.
yeah, and I think what the decision would be to go through one of the old windows, to take out the window and bring the tubing actually through the window, put the units on be the west side, put fence around the units on the west side so they're on the ground, so if they ever need worked on, it's easy access, and that makes sense from a, you know, preventive maintenance side of things, that when you're working on them, then they're easy to get to, and run up the wall and then in, and then you'd have to run 2 sets of tubing to get the gym completely covered. It would be blowing at the stands over there on the east side. So, and then you have to figure out how to hook all that up electrically, and wow. there's- yeah.
We won't be hiring you.
Thank you, thank you. That's a wise decision on your part.
So since there's not any public here, I guess none of them have questions. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? This meeting is